Hello, my name is Aida and welcome back. Today is part 2 of my winter style trends. But in these videos, we're not thinking about trends like something we're just gonna wear for this season. We're thinking about them as timeless pieces that are resurfacing and possibly missing from our wardrobe. To add a bonus, all the pieces that I'm going to talk about today, I'm going to include either the reference number or the direct link in the description below because Black Friday is right around the corner. So if you want to add any of these staple pieces to your wardrobe, you can do so, but at a discounted price. In today's video, I'm going to focus on talking about these trends, but how you can style them in an effortless way. Here at this channel, I'm all about re-wearing and revamping. So I'm going to talk about different uniforms, if you will, or different ways to style these pieces and things to think about if you are interested in any of these styles. So stick around, we're going to get started with trend number 1. Hi, my name is Aida and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Trend number 1 is probably not the sexiest piece, but the most practical and the most functional, especially if you live in a cold climate. That is the puffer jacket. Yes, that's right. It is trending, but in a very silent way, in my opinion. I feel like the puffer jacket, and I've been guilty of this, has often been overlooked because let's face it, sometimes when you put it on, you simply feel like the Michelin Man. In the way that it is seen on runways from this last season, you can think about it in a stylistic way. You want to be looking at the different details that puffer jackets offer and make them unique from one another. For an example, Massimo Dutti has this gorgeous red puffer. It's not a long one, but the red is something that makes it vibrant. It makes it kind of cool girl, and it has a high collar. So you're thinking about different trends like a high collar, the red color, that is all being incorporated inside that puffer jacket, which I find amazing. Or you may be thinking more of a practical puffer, right? Maybe you want to include one with a hood. That is also another option. I love this one from H&M. Covers the rear end, right? So you're still keeping that warmth, but I think this plum color is just so beautiful, and I think it could be elevated and dressed down like you see here on the website in just such a really nice way. There's also other details that you can look at, like this Massimo Dutti puffer that has just like a really cool scarf around it. And it's detachable, but I think it's that detail that makes you feel like you're dressing in a stylish way rather than just like a ball of puffer walking through the streets. You can also want a puffer and that warmth, but make it less puffy. And there you want to lean into more of a quilted option, like this Massimo Dutti coat. It's a beautiful green color that just shows more of like the countryside feel. When pairing a puffer with other clothes, you can think about the contrast. Kind of like in the last video where I talked about funnel necks and like a leather jacket, you can think about a puffer jacket, especially if it's shorter, as a nice contrasting piece to dresses or skirts and just have fun with it. Here, like that red puffer, I think would look super cute with like a skirt and some nice tall boots because it's just so different that it just looks a lot more fashionable. So don't rule out the puffer jacket this winter because it can be stylish and you're gonna get the right functionality and practicality out of it. Trend number 2, the slouchy boot. I think this boot is so gorgeous, and I think it provides a nice contrast to a relaxed and kind of boho chic, but still feeling polished and put together, because the majority of these boots you see are pointed toe with a kitten heel. So you're able to walk around in these boots for hours on end. The kitten heel really is just the savior here. What I like about these boots too is I know I have some friends that their calves may be a problem area to some of these really beautiful tall boots. With the slouchiness of these boots, if you have issues trying to find a boot that really fits your calf nicely, these are wide enough to create that slouch that I don't feel like you're gonna have a problem putting them on. So that's something to consider when you're thinking about this trend. The slouch could be more pronounced or less pronounced depending on the boot. Now, there's a pair of Alohas. I talked about the Aloha brand on my last trending video when it comes to sneakers, but they do make really beautiful boots. And these ones have a slight slouch that's kind of in the middle here. These are a great option, especially a black color like these and them being a little bit taller. Great option to wear with dresses, whether it's for a night out. If you have like more of a slim fitting top, I think it's a great contrast to make it a little bit more effortless and casual, but still look polished. Another option is maybe a boot that's not as pronounced on the slouch. It's very, very tiny, and these could be a great option for work. You balance that out with more of a tailored blazer and more of a polished look on the top, and it creates a nice dynamic and cohesion with your whole outfit where you're not feeling so stiff going to work. And if your work requires you to walk from meeting to meeting, these are a perfect option for the winter. Finally, you have a couple of these boots that have the slouch that are super pronounced and maybe a lighter color. Here you can go one of two ways. The first way I think is great is that you can pair it with a slimmer, like tailored trouser or even kind of a skinny pant if you really want to emphasize that slouch. Or what I feel like is just the ultimate cool girl look is the slouchy boot paired with a wide leg pant that's tucked in. And I think this is great because I like the idea of the wide leg pant being tucked into the boot, and it's essentially an extension of the wide leg pant, but you're highlighting the boot, right? A lot of times when we buy boots, it could just be to lengthen that silhouette, and a lot of the times they could be covered. So here you're both accentuating your legs, but also the boot that you've possibly spent a lot of money on. So I really love this option. I personally would go for a taller boot when it comes to the slouch. I think it's more versatile, especially if you're gonna pair it with maybe midi skirts or a shorter skirt that still gives you that elongation of your leg. Trend number 3, lace. So here we're focused more on material, and I love that this trend has been reimagined now. And instead of thinking about your grandma's tablecloth, because I know that could be a thought when looking at lace, think about it as an edgy way to style clothes to really balance kind of that sexiness and that modernness of your outfit. When you're thinking about how to lean into the lace trend and how to style it and the different uniforms that you can wear it with, you want to think about contrast. The simplest ways to think about contrast with something feminine is always a blazer. A blazer is masculine, and I just love the pairing of feminine and masculine in one outfit. So first trend that you're seeing a lot of is the lace dress. Now this is a little bit more risque and probably more risque than I would wear, but I still wanted to touch on it because I think it is really, really cool. And maybe you live a lifestyle where you could easily wear this out, and that is great. So having more of a transparent lace dress at the bottom with a button-up blazer, I think looks so, so cool. Second way that you can think about lace, or if you just want to like lean into that trend just a little bit, which is how I'm thinking about it, I have my eye on this skirt from Zara where you could think of the lace as just coming out as the trim of a piece of clothing. So this skirt I think is perfect. One, it's elastic, which is so comfortable, and for someone who is in their second trimester, elastic waisted band of pants or skirt is amazing. Pairing this again with a tailored blazer, or you can have just, I think, a nice basic go-to like holiday outfit would be the satin skirt, a boot. You can even do a slouchy boot with this, I think would look great. And then just a sweater. So you have all those different materials in contrast to one another, but create such a beautiful and effortless cohesion. Lastly, you can go kind of in between both a transparent dress and a lace trim and have a lace top. This one from Zara, I think, is very tasteful. You'll also obviously want to consider a lace top and make sure you buy either a bralette or a tank underneath with a blazer that I think could be paired with even something as simple as a nice jean and boot and would look amazing. And what I love about this trend is that you can lean as much into it or just dabble in it. That is the best way to think about it. Don't overcommit to a trend just because you're seeing everyone wear it. Really sit and think about, is this practical in my everyday life? You know, you want to dress for practicality, but think of ways to rewear and revamp it. I don't have a satin midi skirt in my closet right now, and I would love one with the lace trim, and there's so many different ways you could wear it. So that is clearly an option where I'm gonna take most advantage of Black Friday sales and add that to my wardrobe. We've talked about outerwear, we've talked about shoes, and we've talked about a special material. So lastly, I want to touch on a special trend for a top that honestly I have personally loved, and I will definitely be purchasing something on Black Friday on this trend, and that is the jersey cape. There's definitely been a resurgence of capes in general, but I think the combination of a knit and then a shawl scarf, I think adds such a great drama and elegance to that top. The concept of just having something that you just throw over your shoulder or kind of like drapes in the front gives like a sense of drama, but without being too over the top. My favorite type of top that I've seen this trend in is really a coat. I think it was either Massimo Dutti or H&M that has this like gray coat. I'll have it up here, and it has the attached scarf, and it is just so beautiful. I think about this like a trench coat where you could have anything on underneath, say sweatpants, leggings, and a running shoe, and just look kind of like not as polished and put together. And the minute you put that coat on, you put that scarf over your shoulder, you are going to look so elegant and put together in such an effortless way. Another great option, Massimo Dutti has this really beautiful white, more of a cape sweater. And I really kind of love this drape. Again, it is a detail that elevates just a standard sweater that you may get tired of figuring out how to rewear and revamp. And this gives you that detail of style without having to create it yourself. Here you want to think a lot about proportion. Proportion is a word when balancing out kind of these cape and scarf-like sweaters, because you kind of have that loose, fluid movement at the top. So having something tighter at the bottom, I think would look so beautiful and elegant. And again, a great holiday outfit for a Thanksgiving or a Christmas time. Zara actually, and even Mango, have a lot of tops too where you've seen a scarf attached, where it could be a scarf that's maybe tied at the neck, or one that you can kind of throw over your neck a couple times that show a little bit of skin. I'm thinking of a particular green sweater that I've seen that I think is really great because it creates some volume. So if you're pairing it with a jacket like you see in this picture, I think looks wonderful, and again adds that effortless style where you're not having to overthink how you put together your outfits. This is giving more practicality, functionality, and style, and mixing it all together and creating such a beautiful top that I think you can rewear and revamp all throughout winter. And that's a wrap on part 2 of winter styles and trends. These aren't just a trend for a phase. These are versatile, stylish, and timeless pieces you can constantly rewear and revamp if you choose to opt into these trends. Now, if you've looked at both of these videos, please leave in the comments which trend is your favorite, which one you're interested in trying out and possibly taking advantage of those Black Friday deals. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I really enjoy doing a different style video where it's more sit down and casual. So let me know if you want to see more of these. In the meantime, take care and I'll see you soon. Adios.